Good morning, afternoon, and night, or whatever time you're watching this. My name is Andrew Copeland, and I'll be doing a presentation about the environmental impact of electronic vehicles. First off, are electronic vehicles good for the environment? Some people say no. I say yes, but they do have some flaws. The main flaw with electronic vehicles are their lithium batteries. They're probably our best bet as of right now, but nothing's perfect. And the precious metals in them are very destructive and harmful to the environment, just to mine in general. And if we don't have a way to recycle them like we don't really right now too well, then it will all just end up going back to square one. And we need to start actually worrying about these problems, because the greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere are at an all-time high, and transportation alone produce a humongous amount. And if we were able to actually convert this to a net zero, it would drastically, and I mean drastically, change the environment for the better. The problem: humans. And I don't mean to say this like in a Terminator sense. I mean this more as in just people kind of suck. But that's just because people are wasteful and they don't really use their resources like they should and recycle. And people also don't like to change. And that may come in the form of people converting from combustion engines to electric engines. And they're just not used to this new technology and don't want to change because it might seem confusing to them. But they don't really have much of a choice now, since we're nearing the end of everything if we do not do something now to save our environment. And if we don't actually take this serious, we'll end up just using up all our lithium and finding another resource and mining it and completing all this all over again. And by the time we probably get to our second or third element that we've chosen as our source, we'll just all end up living on Mars. That's plain and simple. Electronic vehicles, they're definitely the future of everything, because they're going to lower the greenhouse gas emissions that are in the air and take out a humongous chunk of carbon dioxide that we produce ourselves. The resource that we use to power the vehicle is also extremely cheaper than gas. Gasoline can be anywhere from $5 to $10 to a gallon, depending on the environment and where you're from. And electricity is cents on the dollar, which is a humongous savings in everyone's eyes. Which, who doesn't love saving a little bit of money? I know I don't. Also, cars can be used as a type of a generator for your house in case of an emergency situation, or you just forgot to pay the power that week. Either way, if you are not able to power your home, you'll be able to plug in your house directly into your car and use it for days on end, just with your car alone, to power your house. And slowly, through research and development, battery recycling is finally actually coming to light. But the dark part about it is burning all those dead dinosaurs really hurts the environment, and 21% of all emissions in the United States are just from transportation alone, which is an insane number. But an even more insane number is that 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide per year are emitted just from one person. One person. There are 8 billion people in the world. So do the math on that. That's way too much. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's what my daddy used to say. And from looking at it, is broke. So we're going to need to fix this, because transportation is a massive part of global warming and produces a humongous chunk of not just the US but globally, a humongous chunk of carbon dioxide emissions into the environment. And the main contender would be commercial transportation of goods and services flying back, such as this humongous Boeing that's landing. And if we're not careful and don't switch, everything will slowly just collapse and fall apart. Are electric vehicles good or bad? You just saw a sneak peek of the next slide. Also, I think they're pretty good. So the pros. The pros of electric vehicles vary, but it mainly has to do with the carbon emissions and decreasing them, because that's the whole goal and promotion of electric vehicles in the first place, is to help save the environment and decrease carbon emissions. Another pro to electric vehicles is that once everyone receives or purchases an electric vehicle in some way, it'll be one step closer to a fully electric grid that will all be able to sustain on by using clean energy to power everything in a community. It's going to be pretty nice. Another really nice thing about electric vehicles is that fuel's pretty cheap. Well, electricity's pretty cheap. Fuel is not. And everybody loves a little saving in their life. Lastly, the last pro would be just being able to use your car as a generator. Not many people know this, and it's something that should come to light more in the future with advancements in technology, hopefully. Now to the cons. The first con is there's a lack of public charging stations. This is just because people are not used to having to drive around and think a little before they drive out. They're used to going outside and being like, oh, I need gas. I'll get gas later. When you have an electric car, you can sit at home and charge your car. But the only problem is most people hate the time it takes to charge their car, which can last anywhere from 30 minutes to a couple hours, just depending on how fast your car's charging and if you've opted for a supercharger attachment. But most people don't want to sit around and wait that time. The solution's very simple. Time management. Plug your car in while you're asleep. Now, the big scary one is initial cost. This is just because not everyone has the funds to actually be able to afford this new technology that's innovating the world. And, when something is newly emerging, it's not going to be cheap. And people are also going to try and make as much money on it as possible. But as time progresses and more electric vehicles come out, the initial cost will drop drastically, and everyone should be able to afford a nice new electric car. And the last con of electric cars is if it's not used to be powered by a clean energy source, then it wastes the whole point of all of it. If you're powering a Tesla on coal, there we go. My brain's a little tired today. If your Tesla is powered by coal, then it just defeats the whole purpose of having a Tesla and being sustainable and helping the environment in any way. What needs to be done? Drum roll! Government funding. It's about the only option. There's no really good way to say it. Money makes the world go round, and the more the government and people that have a lot of money help fund and do research and development for these technologies, the more we'll progress and be able to actually advance in certain topics that need a little more help. Now, the part that we should focus on definitely would be the lithium-ion batteries. These batteries are definitely the best option out of all the options that we have, but they all have flaws like every one of us does. And the main part is just the lithium that's actually in them. Boop, 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 boop. Boop. You know, the lithium that's mined can really be devastating to the environment in the mining process and can pollute the water that's being used to extract it. And once we've extracted it all, there's nothing left. It's not a renewable resource that we can just wait a little bit and it'll reappear. So once it's gone, it's gone. So we're gonna have to slowly figure out how to recycle all these precious metals and not waste them like we have been as of recently. And lithium isn't cheap, so I don't really understand why we're throwing it away like we have been. So throw around some dollars and give us some government funding, because that's the only thing that's going to save us. If the government starts backing us like Obama here, then we'll finally be able to actually make some progress and save the world a little bit. There is hope for electronic battery recycling because this company called Redwood. It's a pretty underground company that's just emerged in the past couple years and has partnered with lots of big names such as Tesla and Ford to help recycle their electric batteries in their vehicles. The owner of the company is J.B. Strotzenbull. You might be thinking to yourself, who is he? He's this handsome young lad. You might be thinking to yourself, should I know who he is? You probably don't, but you should. He's the co-founder of Tesla with Elon Musk, and he is already partnered with all these huge companies, not just vehicle or car companies, but also bus and a bicycle company. And this will hopefully lead to more public transportation and private transportation to become electric and be recycled and reused again instead of just being thrown away and never being touched or saw. In conclusion, lithium-ion batteries have a lot of potential. Only time will be able to actually improve these batteries. But there's one more thing that comes with time, and it's a whole lot of money. Money makes the world go round, as I said, and without it, we'll never get anywhere. So we just need a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of smart people. The environmental impacts of electronic cars are so close to being net zero, yet so far like this little girl running into a race. In the long run, once we've actually been able to figure out all these flaws and compare it to combustion engines, electronic engines will be 10 times better for everybody, not including the environment, not just including the environment, but also us in general. And with that being said, buy electric vehicles to save the environment, and also so I have a job in the future. Here's my references.